5.5 minutes after 7 o'clock in Trinidad and Tobago as we move into the second hour of morning edition on this Wednesday. It is a special time for the Muslim community, already into the month of Ramadan, the month of fasting, today being the 8th day of fasting for the majority of people here in Trinidad and Tobago who are observing the fast. There's also additional prayer. Believers focus on this period, which is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, fasting in the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, which is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. It is set to culminate on May the 13th, again depending on the sighting of the new moon, but more than likely May the 13th, which is a Thursday, so you can mark that down in your calendar already, with the Eid al-Fitr festival, and it's also, as I said, the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. When it comes to an end, that is when we get to Eid al-Fitr. Well, during this period, the Islamic Dawah movement, and Dawah meaning message, spreading the message of Islam, they have embarked on a public education drive for Islamic Awareness Month. They'll be distributing free Qur'ans which Muslims believe to be the revealed word of God, to interested non-Muslims, as well as a free autobiography of the Prophet Mohammed, whom Muslims believe to be the last of the prophets, and to whom was revealed the Qur'an, and therefore that's why that connection is considered so very important. Well, the IDM has been in existence for more than 30 years, and we're joined now by someone who's at the very helm of the organization, the Amir, the leader of the organization. Amir, as is known in Arabic, but president of the IDM for more common use, Mirza Ali Mohammed, no stranger to our discussion. Mirza, assalamu alaikum. Thanks very much for joining us.
Alaikum salam, and thanks for having us.
More than welcome. We will talk about the challenges of Ramadan and all that is associated with it in the time of COVID-19 as well. But tell us about this distribution drive and the activities of the IDM in the month of Ramadan.
So, Fazeer, for many, many years, as you mentioned, we have been around for a long time. We've been involved in education and training. We've been involved in interfaith dialogue. We've been involved in social work in rural communities. But like everybody else, COVID-19 has affected the work. It means we can't have face-to-face interactions. We can't have our usual displays in the malls or National Library in Port of Spain. We can't go to the houses of people. We can't be in the street. So because of that, we decided to be able to use this media, social media, and the national media to be able to distribute some things to our non-Muslim community free of charge. It's the month of Ramadan, and we know that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was generous throughout the year. But it is said about him, he was even more generous in the month of Ramadan. So we want to be able to make available to any non-Muslim from Trinidad and Tobago who is looking at the program a free copy of the English translation of Qur'an, in addition to some other books, and you mentioned one of them. We are making this available free of charge. All you need to do is to call a number that we will give and look at our social media page for other numbers. No questions asked. This is yours. This is your gift for Trinidad and Tobago at this time. Any non-Muslim, absolutely free.
So what do they have to do? You said call the number. If you want to give us the number or the Facebook page information to be able to access that publication.
So the Facebook page will be Islamic Dawah Movement. We have an Instagram page and a Facebook page. There is one common number for the office assistant, 387-4933. But if you go to the Facebook page or the Instagram page, you will see a flyer with 3 other numbers. One person in North, one person in Central, and one person in South. And the reason is because we want to have minimum interaction. So you call, you get one of these people, they say, come pick up or meet you at a certain place, they give it to you, no questions asked, that's you. If it is while reading, you have questions and you want to be able to ask, what do you really believe? How come Muslims fight and this jihad thing? How come this happening in the Middle East? How come, if you want to ask questions, these guys or these numbers, feel free to call to answer any questions that you may have as well. But all you have to do is make one phone call, and it's absolutely free. No hassle, no questions asked, and a pickup point is in Central, North, and South.
And let me just give those numbers, because I am on the Facebook page now, as you mentioned the Facebook page. The general number is, which you gave already, 387-4933, which is the main office for the IDM located in Curep. But in the North, you can call Abdel at 748-9778. That's 748-9778. In Central, you could call Anis at 734-4640, 734-4640. And in the South, you can call Fayaz 712-0088, 712-0088. The obvious question, Mirza, nobody in Tobago?
Well, We didn't have anybody in Tobago at this point in time because we also want to minimize the travel. We really want to keep our people away from the crowds at this point in time. And as you spend the entire morning talking about the spread, so we really want to be careful. However, we will be sending some to Tobago latter part of the month of Ramadan, and we probably will put it on our Facebook page as well. The Tobago Masjid will in fact it will be going to them, and they will be distributing there as well.
And of course, that mosque located in Lowlands, for those who would be familiar with that facility as well, if they want to get more information in that regard. Mirza, as far as the time of COVID-19, it was experienced last year. In fact, it was more severe last year, where the lockdown was fully on. People weren't able to go to the mosque. Now you have a situation where people can go to the mosque in limited numbers, and yet there's some some feeling that, look, the real flavor of the month, as with any other religious organization and religious experience, for the Christian community they had limitations for Easter. For the Hindu community, for Pagwa, that was severely limited in many respects. What is your view on the experience of Ramadan in a time of COVID-19?
See, Ramadan is a special month for 1 billion people all over the world. The mosques are filled, so it's a social month as well. The mosques are filled in the night time for a nightly prayer called Taraweeh. We have special food for people to break fast free of charge in many masjids all over the world, including Trinidad and Tobago. So it is a time when people come out. Even those people don't normally frequent mosques and come out at this time, Muslims will come out and the mosques are usually filled. Last year was in fact really bad because the mosques were closed, all houses of worship. This year it is open with 50% capacity. I think most mosques are in fact following the protocols, the health protocols. But there's a principle in Islam. It is called one of the higher objectives of Islamic law. In Arabic, it's called maqasid of Sharia. And one of the purposes of Islamic law, one of the higher objectives, is the preservation of life. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, advised us that we are allowed to do some things that we would not normally do if it means that life could be preserved. So, for example, Muslims don't consume alcohol nor pork. It is in our law. But if it is that your life depends on it and there's nothing else to eat, it means we are allowed to consume just enough to survive, because preservation of life is important. And therefore, mosques, imams, Muslim leaders need to be able to take this into cognizance and do whatever they have to do at the mosques and whatever other organizations they have to ensure preservation of life. And yes, if it means some people can't attend the mosque, if it means telling some people who would normally love to come to stay home, if you're coughing, to tell some of the children, I'm sorry, sweetheart, you cannot come at this point in time, well, then we have to be able to follow the protocols, because of preservation of life is one of the higher objectives of Islamic law.
And I know that creates a bit of a challenge, because, for example, for those who are familiar with the Muslim way of praying and so on, people stand together, shoulder to shoulder, side by side, very close together. And now the requirement is to stand apart. And that creates an issue with some people who say, look, Islamic law trumps this law that only come in with about COVID and so on.
But Islamic law is that if there are situations that are not normal, it means that there are other rulings have to take precedence. So, for example, COVID-19 or pandemic is not normal. The Prophet Muhammad says, if there is a pandemic and there's a plague in a town, don't go to the town. That's not normal. And if you're in the town, don't leave the town, because preservation of life is important. So yes, it is very important for Muslims to stand shoulder to shoulder and ankle to ankle, and the brotherhood and the sisterhood is established there. But we are not in normal times. We are not in normal times. And therefore, the Islamic ruling by the scholars all over the world is that it is a temporary measure to be able to pray separately. Don't shake hands, don't kiss. And Muslims shake hands all over the place. We hug each other, and temporarily it's being suspended because we are not in normal times. We are praying like everybody else for this thing to go away, to leave us, so that we can get to some sense of normalcy, not just for Muslims, for Trinidad and Tobago and for the entire world to come back to some sense of normalcy, hopefully in the not too distant future.
And Mirza, as far as the work of the Islamic Dawah movement, because this is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious society, yet there are always common misconceptions. There are always things, and as you mentioned, with the free distribution of Qur'ans, with the English translation, and people come with questions about terrorism this, terrorism that, or why do you all do this, why do you all do that? Over the years, and with the work of the Islamic Dawah movement, of which you have been involved with for such a long period of time, Have you seen a change in the levels of understanding, or do the misconceptions remain? What is your own perspective on that?
Absolutely, there have been some positive changes. However, you are very correct. In spite of the fact we are 1.57 billion people in the world, 1 in 4 people in the world is a Muslim. Anybody can Google it. CNN, BBC, everybody has the reports. 1 in every 4 people in the world is a Muslim. Islam is spreading all over. It is considered to be the fastest growing religion. In spite of all of that, we still have the misconceptions in the minds of people, not just in locally, internationally as well. You Muslims, you're into fighting. That's all you're involved in. Muslim women are oppressed, and you have those things. And therefore, we're into an education drive, and we have been so for many years, as well as several other organizations, to clear some of those misconceptions. And this is one of the reasons why the Quran is being made available. Here is it. See what we say. See what Allah has said in the Quran. God has said to us to be able to follow as His guidance. And yes, we have had some of the misconceptions cleared, and by and large, we have had a lot of positive things happening in terms of tolerance and understanding, because we ourselves have been involved in interfaith dialogue, and we see positivity happening. Yet, in spite of that, we still have those pockets, and we still have those people, and we still have some of those people who sit in a chair and do a YouTube video and demonize a particular religion, in some cases Islam. And therefore, these kinds of projects are really to help people to remove those misconceptions, to clarify, not necessarily for somebody to accept anything, but to clarify, and people are free to be able to ask questions, and God is the one who is the best guide.
And we'll give the contact information once again in a couple of minutes' time. But in the time that we have available, Mirza, we are in the early days of the month of Ramadan, this being the 7th fast of what should be 29 or maybe 30. To you personally, what does the month mean? Because for everyone, as with any other faith, the experience tends to be slightly different, slightly nuanced in some way. What does it mean to you?
That's an interesting question, Fazeer. You're very correct, because it will mean different things to different people. Correct. For me, it is really a time of reconnecting with my Creator. It's a time of rededicating. It's a time of prayers. It's a time of seeking forgiveness. It's a time of mercy. It's a time of family. It's a time of charity. So I look forward to this period. Actually, my work, I do some lecturing, and I actually ask my employers, I don't want any classes during this time. I take some holidays because I want to spend my time with my Quran, with my remembrance of God, with my prayers, with my family, and also in some charitable work and social work in the communities. So we are also involved in doing hamper distribution like everybody else. But the reason why we want to promote the Quran is because we want to promote education in addition to hampers and everything else. So to me, it's a special time. It's a time I look forward to on an annual basis. You get these anxiety feelings just before the month. And believe me, any single Muslim you ask this question, they will tell you when the month comes to an end, there is that sense of sadness and that sense of feeling, because the month of opportunity will no longer be there. The opportunity to help others, the opportunity to look after the less fortunate, the opportunity to reconnect, the opportunity to rededicate, the opportunity to be able to seek forgiveness, the opportunity to be a better you. To me, that's what it means to me. I'm looking forward to a better me, and I hope it's a better me at the end of the month based on the activities I'll be involved in on a personal level during this month.
Mirza Ali Mohammed, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to speak with us. And indeed, in relation to that Quran distribution, again, the main contact number 387-4933. All the information is on their Facebook page as well. In the north, 748-9778. In central, 734-4640. And in south, 712-0088. They haven't forgotten you in Tobago, but because it's a smaller community, they'll make the necessary arrangements later on in the course of the month. And you can check with the mosque at Lowlands for more information in that regard. Mirza, assalamu alaikum. Hope you continue to enjoy the remaining days of the month. Thanks very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
Mirza Ali Mohammed there with us. As we go to the break, here we have for you a video captured by Luke Edwards at Centenary Street Extension. And let's see, what is he showing us in this video? It's a parakeet. The parakeet just there, there he goes. There he is. I suppose it's because when you had them as a pet as a child, you think about these little parakeets and so on. They're a beautiful emerald color, and there he or she is at the top of that stalk before flying away. Thanks very much for that image, Luke, as we go to the break.